Hello, does my microphone work? Welcome everyone. Welcome to our Thursday stream. Hi C-AAA, New Galaxy, Sea of Yellow. Ooh, you say Thursday is your second favorite day of the week after Sunday. That sounds great. Hi Chaos. Welcome everyone. Let me change the thing. Hopefully my hair is not a mess. Nope. Cool. We're gonna do some Shogi book reading today. If I only find where it is. And we're gonna continue with our topic of mobility. Shogi books. Shogi books. Do you work, Shogi book? Let's see. Oop. Hello. All right. Yes, the tea is green, by the way. Indeed, it's a green tea. But it's the Lipton green tea with the lemon, which isn't like the best quality green tea. But still very good. Hi, Chase James. I mean, nothing will be equal to the Japanese green tea. I wonder, did I last time open it in browser? How does it... I'm always confused with those PDFs. So confused. We've done this stream multiple times and each time I am confused. Update. Page navigation. Nope. Show hide. Navigation. Model tree? What's that? Show navigation pane. Security settings. Okay, that helps. And then we need our G-show. 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 Whoop. Hello, G-show. All right. So it is true then, green tea gives you Shogi powers? I don't know if a strong professional eats bananas. Do you think he's strong because he ate bananas? Or maybe Shogi Pro eats some other stuff during the match so that they confuse you. And when Fuji eats the cake and everybody orders it, it's actually not true. This is the one that gives you less power. Fuji just eats it to show up. And then when he comes back home, he eats the real magical food. You know, you have to think like a Shogi Pro, yeah? You have to think one step deeper. New Galaxy. One step deeper. All right. So where were we? Where were we? Should I put it here? I probably should put this here and put this here and just put this here, as I will be staring on the screen and it's gonna be weird. All right. So today we have book reading, which means we continue our modern Shogi principles book. What is your green tea, your favorite green tea, kind of tea? Depends on the day, I guess. Like if you were to drink green tea every day, then you start to crave other types of tea. You know. So I have like 50 types of tea at my home. Yeah, it's per 10,000. Oh my god, Zawardo, I literally finished watching, I don't know which part of JoJo that is, but suddenly I understand what do you mean with your nickname. Suddenly it all clicked in my head and now I understand where your nickname came from. Because I've watched the final of JoJo yesterday. Zawardo! Stop time! Or was it time stop? Doesn't matter. All right. So we were on the mobility chapter, and as you see, guys, we are past the middle of the book. Cool. Now we have limited chapters left, which is cool. So that soon we'll be able to understand all of the modern shogi. No, this is not this easy. So if I remember, last time, so this was the durability. This is the mobility. Last time we ended up here, maybe? Power up. Yeah, we ended on this subchapter, right? So what did we do last week? Let's just review. I also don't remember. Can I use the page down, page up? If I click here. It works, cool. You mix with hibiscus, interesting. Power up diagram, yep. So we had the definition of what the power up strategy, no, mobility strategy is. We talked about the rook. We talked about the, yeah, this is the rook one. Continuation of the rook. Then we had some examples of why the rook is cool. Then we had the usage of the bishop as well, proving how cool it is to have both pieces mobile. Then we went to our famous rapid advancing silver example, where this time we wanted to use the bishop on the 4-6 square over here, which made it very mobile, very effective. And here we had comparison between Millennium Castle and Anaguma, and we noticed that Millennium Castle had more active bishop compared to Anaguma. And we had an example of this bishop targeting this fork on the rook and king on the diagonal. We had Yagura bishop that's being active. So we talked about that in order to activate the pieces, sometimes you have to sacrifice the tempo or material. That was the main point last week, I think. So here we lose the tempo of moving the silver up and then down, 2 moves lost. But we're very happy with our position, so it's worth it. Here we talked about the pawn sacrifice, 6-5 pawn, silver takes, rook goes to the side, making it very mobile instead of putting the rook back. The difference is we sacrifice the pawn for putting our rook in better spot. Now we had the continuation of it. And this one was Gote's side that was doing something very active. They exchanged the pawn in order to make this rook work sideways, right? Not sure if you guys see my... and thanks to that, Gote was able to delete the wall silver. And here was the most interesting example in the endgame. We learned that mobility works in every type of position, so not only opening, but also middle game and endgame. And we had this amazing 7-9 dragon. It just broke our minds because it was an attacking defensive move. Very mobile dragon was able to save our king while threatening this king. And we were really understanding this diagram, that a weak piece, thanks to this mobility principle, can become more powerful, right? And we learned that to promote a piece is not just to promote it. We learned that it's amazing because it becomes more mobile, more powerful if used properly. Yeah. I think that summarizes what we did last week. Any questions, chat? Should I zoom in more? Is it okay? Maybe I should zoom in more. Great summary. All right. Gyoku no. Let's see this. The sphere, which is the Tama, which is the Gyoku, field of range of behavior. How do we habitat? I'm gonna translate it as king's habitat. No, I'm joking. King's habitat. Scope of movement, what it means, but so king's mobility, I guess, in a different meaning of mobility. So let's just keep the same word and call it king's mobility, okay? Did you learn Japanese just to read this? Define this. Did I learn Japanese to read this specific book? Did I learn Japanese to learn shogi books? Did I learn Japanese to read Japanese texts? Define this. Pawn 6-6 was played in this position, so this is bishop exchange. Until now, the mobility theory, fine. Is it fine? Where's my Jisho? Jisho, don't leave me. Main point, all right. How do you read it? Koshi. Koshi. I mean, Koshi is like back, so Koshi is main point, interesting. To read shogi stuff. Well, I lived in Japan 8 years, so I learned to live in Japan, to do my work, and yes, it includes reading books like this. Shogi bullet, yes, if you go to Lee Shogi, it has like half a second shogi or something. It's half a second for the whole game or something. It's so stupid. Unless they patched it, I don't know. I found one of my problems through I hate sacrificing my pawns. No, New Galaxy, you should get rid of that habit. All you sacrifice is pawns. Which piece do you sacrifice if not pawns? If you think about this, which piece do you sacrifice? Like, I don't need my bishop. They're precious teammates. Well, your teammates think you're precious too, and they would throw themselves for you. How about that? Silvers. Yeah. You sacrifice your king. Well, 50 seconds for the entire game. Okay, so they changed it. Can you play shogi game with the modern pieces now, please? I don't know, Siddhartha, if you saw the title, I think it's on the bottom of the screen, and it clearly says Reading Shogi book continues, part 10,000. So I'm afraid today no part of that sentence contains the word play, and we will have to read the book today, because this is what people came here for. I heard my rook as my secret surprise tool that will help me later. I might be playing some shogi on Saturday. I thought maybe we should be doing more shogi/chess related stream on Saturday instead of random games. But I also feel like it, so maybe we can do stuff like that on Saturday. Anyway, I hoard my rook as my secret surprise tool that will help me later. Yeah, but how fun it is, you exchange your rook, then you get your opponent's rook, and then you use that rook for a combo. That's even more epic, isn't it? So we explained the main point of the mobility theory in the previous chapter. If we were to practice or make one more reminder, so the main target of that mobility was to raise our pieces' power by giving them more influence on the board, yeah? So because they have more squares to move, that makes them more powerful. Especially when we were talking about big pieces, it was used, and there was a lot of efficiency that we were expecting from them. And now, in modern times, the mobility theory is also applied to the king, if I understood this correctly. So the value of your piece shape, of your castle and stuff, of your piece shape, is going to rise depending on the king mobility or the movement scope. Hello, thank you for subscribing, 3 months. Welcome back, Honey Mint. Konnichiwa. Your favorite tactics are Nifu? Cheers, James. After you join our Tourney to Series tournament, if you join it, you're gonna do Nifu and you will hate yourself forever. Then we're gonna talk again. You do Nifu a lot. Well, everybody does Nifu a lot in the beginning. For example, in the diagram position is how do we explain that? position that perfectly shows that, or like the model position. Both kings have a lot of movement, squares on the left and right of them. And this is where, instead of the solidness of the shape, we have the wideness of the shape. That's became trending. And that was the influence of the mobility theory, as a result of the influence of the mobility theory. So here you have king, bishop exchange, right? King can go easily to the left, it can come back easily to the right. Same for Gote, because it's symmetrical. I think it's very easy to understand here. I love that Karo's response to I like Nifus is to straight up bang out a Nifu curse on the poor soul that dares utter those words. I mean, that's the only proper way to go for it, no, Yellow? You have to read from top, yes, and from the right to the left. That's how Japanese language works. That's the traditional way to read it. But nowadays, if you go to some shogi web pages, they tend to go from left to right and sideways like we do, because of how HTML works, I guess. But the books are written like this, which is the proper way, I guess. I play in Shogi Quest and Shogi Wars until 3Q, so I didn't make a lot of Nifus in my life yet. Yeah, yet, CEO, yet. How many times you click a pawn in the Shogi Wars and you're like, why it didn't work? And then you realize, oh, that's why. That's the more forgiving Nifu type. Unlike 81 Dojo, it's like, oh, let me drop. Oh my gosh, what is this music playing? Oh my god, why does this game end? Shame on my honor. Why did I lose 10,000 points? 81 Dojo is pretty cruel. So if you were to play a real tournament, train on 81 Dojo. Yep. Is Shogi Wars good? Depends what you define by good. Today we will go with definitions. Depends on what you define as good. Hencho means attaching too much importance to. That's a very long sentence to translate to kanji. So what does this mean? Partial side, left side, inclining, biased. Okay, so pressure on being biased. Okay, biased. So putting too much pressure on. Like more matches. So Shogi Wars, it's easy to find a match. The problem is it's hard to level up, and there's a possibility your opponent is straight up cheating because the server allows cheating by using the Kishin points. Yeah, I was thinking of continuing our mobile stream on Friday, tomorrow. So if you guys would like to check different Shogi apps, you can join us tomorrow. We did it in the afternoon though, I think. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to play a lot and quick games, then it's either Shogi Wars or Rishogi. Shogi Wars will have more people because it's Japanese. But if you want to learn, that's a different story. Shogi Wars is fun, though. If you want to have fun, but not necessarily study hard, it's Shogi Wars. I mean, that's better than winning and someone telling you to this. You mean somebody on 81 Dojo, like, bullies you after the game? If he loses, he's, like, cursing you? That's what you mean? Shogi Wars has fun Ikasu animations. Yeah, they get annoying after a while. No, they don't get annoying, but like you want to play a piece, but they're playing in the background and you're like, I don't see my screen. But yeah, in the beginning we were like, whoa, this Shogi app is amazing. No other Shogi app had this. And then you push random pawn and it's like Minogakoi. And you're like, wait, up. I played Minogakoi like 20 moves ago and this move, no logic. You beat 5 down in speed, they rage quit and told me to disappear. And well, in that case, new galaxy, you go like this. You go to 81 Dojo. Let me present to you the strategy against those people. You go to 81 Dojo. Where is my 81 Dojo layout? You go to 81 Dojo. You go to your game, they write something and they quit, then you go like, and then you click this button and you're safe. So back at the book reading. Oh wow, now we have 81 dojo. Boom, that's better. You did that? Cool. Well, this is the only answer you can give to those people, because they're immature and that's all they deserve. They don't deserve your compassion, they don't deserve your mercy, that's all they deserve. You making fun of them. So, starting from the... This is endorsed. Yeah, let's omit that part. Do not clip that. So if you are too concentrated on the solidness, let's explain what kind of problem will appear from that wrong perspective, yeah? In the position number 1, both sides have golds and silver around his king. And solidness is the justice. This is my favorite translation, but the solidness is the standard here. Ooh, New Galaxy, thank you for the subscribing in 3 months in advance. Thank you so much. I hope you like my advices. To you gachikani. So yeah, so we made the typical position based on the solidness. So we have generals around the king. At that time, still this part of playing was the training one, which kind of hurts my soul because Hidechi would be explaining those as a normal style, but it's 2016, so now it's like obsolete, guys. Castles are obsolete. So the goddess king looks safe, but there's a pawn here, right? On 1-3. So there will be silver drop to 1-2 in front of the lance. It's at SUG. And it's going to go to capture the king. So suddenly this shape, even though it looks safe, yeah, there are 3 generals, suddenly this king will be captured. Or like attack heavily, let's say. So silver drop 1-2 here. Do you guys enjoy it when I do the play shogi thing? Should I do the play shogi thing? Or is it okay if you do it in your head? I mean, I could do the play shogi thing, but not play shogi, playground thing. Shogi. Spielplatz. Thank you, Google. Exactly what I wanted. We can quickly try to like edit this position to just to show to players. Where is this lens? There. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Did I put it in unused pieces? You're here, you're here. Where is this bishop? In the hand. The silver's in the hand. We have 2 pawns, correct. And king is in the check. No, that's not how it works. And this rook is here. Hello. Okay. So what's going to happen is we drop the silver here. Lance takes. Pawn promotes. Can you guys see it? I hope you do. It's kind of tiny on your screen, but yeah. Nope, that doesn't have. Okay. King takes. Lance drop to 1-4. This is a cool SUG. Instead of dropping the lance in front of the king, you drop it back and it attacks all the squares. You cannot drop pawn because it's favorite tactic of bot meat. So don't do favorite tactic of bot meat, and then they drop the rook to 1-1 to continue attacking, yeah? So this shape becomes alive. This one. That's how we arrive at this shape. Becomes alive. That's a weird translation. This shape happens, and Gote would like to escape the king to a safe spot, but the gold and silver becomes an obstacle for the king. Well, the center will be continue pushing them. So you can see, yeah, even though the point is, even though they had like this full castle here, 3 pieces, it's meaningless because the attack is coming from this side. And you would like to escape, but the castle that was supposed to protect your king is now becoming its coffin in a way. And this is why instead of thinking of it as solidness, you can also think of it as the opposite of wideness, narrowness, yeah? So the narrowness of the castle is its weakness. I never thought about the castle like this. Interesting. So that's the risk, yeah? It is solid, but it's narrow. Any questions, chat? Is it okay? Everyone's silent. They're like, oh my god, I didn't think shogi works this way. Maybe your brains are exploding in the back and I hear nothing. Okay, one more example. So we're talking about king mobility, and that was example that king is not very mobile in Yagura Castle, for example, in the narrowness of the castle. One more example, diagram 3, this one. Sente tries the anaguma, the solidness, trying to build up solidness in her camp. Against it, where the opponent is playing the wideness strategy. And it is contrastive. I never heard this word, but it's contrastive. But yeah, okay, I see. So they contrast each other. Yeah, totally different approach, yeah? So what we need to prove is that wideness is better than solidness in here. Your brain is dead after game with Mifa. Is it the game you're gonna show us on Sunday? Is it possible not to move your king and make flex power? Yeah, that's what Fuji is doing. Kokokara Jisenwa. So from here, let me set up the position. There's a lot of moves being played again, but it's quite a similar position. So hopefully we don't have to play a lot of them. So you see how the position changes, yeah? Those general change their position quite, they become quite wider. The knights are aggressive, cool. This pawn is not pushed. This one, the bishop is in hand because it's bishop exchange. In hand, not in unused pieces. And this side is trying for Anaguma, right? I think it's somewhat correct. And here they're saying that king went down. Did I turn the king? King went down. Pawn pushes 6-5. Pawn takes. Knight takes. Attacking this silver. Silver takes. Pawn drop in order to expose this bishop drop. So for a moment, Sente no. So Sente will be attacking and Gote will be like defending, enduring. Okay, they chat. 4-4 silver looks like 5q would make what? It's not. It's a real pro. Maruyama sensei who played that move. using the silver in the center, so they can play silver 5-5, like start engagement before Anaguma is finished, going for the attack instead of solidness. But that's the mistake you're making, yellow. You're thinking solidness, but he's thinking whiteness and attack. So in the position 4, so what happened is from this position that we have on this bottom right, I honestly don't know if it's too tiny for you guys or not, but Senta is clearly attacking, right? So Gote will be enduring, and eventually we'll arrive at this position where Senta's king will be solid and he will have enough attacking pieces, and that's the Anaguma pattern, yeah? It looks like Anaguma is happy because they're solid and they have attack. So that's the winning pattern for Anaguma. It looks like that. So let's find out. This is position after 20 moves. The king safety difference is clearly visible. The Anaguma pace looks like the Anaguma has the initiative in the endgame, but Gote has a great way to survive in this position or endure in this position. Starting from 2-6 pawn, rook takes, 2-5 pawn, rook goes back to 2-9. So we close the rook off. And then pawn 8-6, pawn takes, pawn drop, arriving at this position. So yeah, you can see how we closed this rook with tempo. And then we started our counter attack, yeah? As said in the caption. Even if Senta sacrifices the pawn, Gotes... Senta on kono fluo haratte mo Gote. This caption maybe. So from this position, gold takes 7-5 pawn, and there are two variations. If we take this pawn, we have a knight drop here that's gonna attack this gold like this. Maybe I should draw it again. I'm not sure, guys, if it's easy to follow or not. I'm worried it's not easy to follow if I just say a bunch of random numbers. I'm worried. So we will have this position, right? With 3 pawns in hand and a horse over here. The rook went back because we chased it away using pawn drops, and then we counter-attacked here. All right. Now what's going to happen is we take here and 7-5 pawn. The game is helping. Cool. It's tiny. Maybe I should make it bigger, actually. Wait a sec. I hope that helps. So 7-5 pawn. If we take it, knight drop, and it goes to attack this gold, which will be a great spot to attack from, yeah? We take this pawn, then we drop the pawn, and we have direct access to the king, right? So take, goes back, pawn drop, goes to the side, and we have a good spot. And then if we don't do anything, next, if it's white turn to play, we gonna play this move. Silver goes back, and again, knight drop will be possible. Very good knight drop here, yeah? So this is why Anaguma is weak from above, by the way, chat. Alright, so the book says that, as in the caption, where basically Gote will be able to attack. In the actual game, against the pawn push, they ignored it and went for the counter attack on 4-1 silver. But there is a very good knight drop here. 8-4 knight drop this time, as shown in this position number 6. Oh, so they didn't take the pawn at all. Sorry about that. They won't take the pawn at all. Yeah, so this position. Next, if we jump the knight to 7-6, we're really affecting this square next to the king, which will be very troublesome for Sente. And even if you were to take this pawn, the silver comes in, exchange all the defenders, and it's pretty cool. Sente will have ite, meaning step by step getting toward the king, unstoppable. All right, but the point is, that Sente's king was solid, right, guys? They had Anaguma, one of the strongest castles in Shogi. It was very, very solid. But the enemy's pieces, as the enemy's pieces come close, you can see that it's very narrow. And it wasn't able to expand its life. Yeah, it wasn't able to like run away or expand its life anymore because it's stuck there in the corner. Yeah, and we talked about, I don't know if you guys know, like in the past we said Anaguma isn't a cool castle because king is stuck in the corner. Yeah, and then people said, well, but Anaguma is strong enough to survive. And now we're back at but it's still stuck in the corner. It's not gonna survive. Yeah. So remember, when you don't play Anaguma versus Anaguma, where you don't play solid versus solid, you want to get the card of wideness of your king. You want to survive long enough. This is why I think the Vanguard pawn, King Vanguard pawn, was played also against Anaguma, to have your king escaping route toward up, similarly to here. But that's in for Ibisha games. This is double Ibisha game, yeah? Kuitski. What does it mean? Bite. Even if Gote will allow bite, he will be able to escape or something like that. So king is really, really wide, and this horse is pretty important, guys. If not this horse, there's 2-4 pound drop. But thanks to that, you know, the king is pretty safe. So if you get Anagumat, you can get in, can you? I don't understand. So if you get Anagumat, you can't get in. If your opponent plays Anaguma, basically either you keep playing on the same ground, which is solidness versus solidness, or you put up this new weapon that we learned, the king mobility. The king is blocked, so you can attack it. No, the point is the king is blocked, so when you attack it, it has no place to escape. It's like it's stuck there. So it says that we cannot say it about all, like as a general rule, but the wideness will be surpassing, excelling the solidness in modern shogi. And this was the turning point in shogi strategies, it seems. It looks so to the author. That this way of thinking changed. And thanks to that, many strategies changed. New version of shogi started being played, yeah. So this says quickly as a reminder that here we're attacking the 8-8 file. And because there's 8-7 pawn, that's a very hard piece to get rid of. And Gote will be able to fight well here. Hello, Secretary of War Crimes. The king is blocked, so you can't attack it. So I think you trying to mention something like you can make a check on the king because he's surrounded by the pieces. And yes, Anaguma is a strong castle. It's not easy to like suddenly checkmate it at the end using checks. But the minus will be it doesn't have much space to run away from. Run to, I guess. It will be stuck in the corner, right? Because as in the example of Yagura game, the pieces will become an obstacle. So yeah, it says that from that experience, the way of thinking changed from solidness into the wideness of the king. There is a very big merit into having king that has a wide space. It will be easier to defend the enemy's attack. So in the position 7, we have the 8-7 bishop drop. It's a very good attacking move. At a glance, it seems like it's succeeding to break through. But here we played 6-7 gold, as in diagram 8, evading the attack. Sente broke the 8 file, this file, but it doesn't feel particularly painful. So yeah, if your king would be here, for example, on 8-8, that would be horrible. Let's compare to that. If the king is on 8-8 and if it's his head, and if it's so, then the castle is broken, king has nowhere to escape. But because the king is closer to the center, further away from the attack, by moving the gold here, you know, they're gonna probably take and then promote, but then we block them. We don't care. we're quite fine, yeah? The king still can run here. He's very wide. There's a lot of space, living space. As after defending, you can take the knight also, yeah? And also pawn drop 8-2, rook takes. And then we can redrop this knight that we took here. 7-4, forking those two pieces. So we have options to counter attack as well. And actually this position is super winning for Sente. As a result, Gote will have the pieces advantage and won't have anything in exchange for it. And therefore the attacking way of this was an impossible attack. And this is the result of Sente having this amazing defensive plan, yeah? Amazing strategy of king being wide here. Guys, this is a beautiful example. You understand this, right? The king is wide. The whole rook is attacking, yeah? The whole rook, the whole token will be made, but we don't really mind. The book really makes me understand the people who prefer old school shogi over modern shogi. Half joke. Why does it make you understand them? Oh, because it explains the history. Well, this is how it was. This is how it was when I was learning shogi. Like solid castle, learn the shape. Now it's like, nope, you're just playing the king with the king in the center, and everybody's like, what? No, old school is not better. That's the whole point of the book New Galaxy, that old school is not better. The whole book just breaks all those old ways of thinking and shows you the new way of thinking. Okay, next diagram. We're almost there. In the diagram 9, Gote promoted the silver and it moves it to the side, targeting the 3/6 pawn push to attack the knight's head. And it's a very big damage to Sente. But here you can jump the knight. Silver goes up. King goes to the side. Like this. So instead of defending this, we make sure that the pieces that he's targeting, so the knight and the king, they go away from the attack, right? So we, instead of like defending by, I don't know, pawn drop or something, we don't have pawn, but like defending this square with everything, no, we lightly run away. Thanks to that, this attack's power lowers. And the king becomes safer. Well, I would say it's still difficult because the pawn can promote, but it's just an example of how to utilize the king wideness. Yeah, so the king can run left or right thanks to that shape. Literally run away from the enemy's pieces to the other side of the board to the safety. So again, the point was, if you have the solid shape and if you depend on it too much, the king becomes narrow and it's gonna break under the pressure of enemy's pieces. That's gonna come from one side. So yeah, so the point is to like literally evacuate your king when the attack comes. And this is why it's a good point for king wideness, yeah? Because you can actually survive by escaping. That's the advantage of this strategy. Never surrender, yeah. How different is the philosophy of white shogi compared to philosophy of aggressive attacking shogi? Well, the wideness of king is the defensive part of the aggressive shogi, right? So because you want to play aggressive shogi, you want to make sure your king survives long. Trying to remember the diagram we had, the relativity theory. We're trying to escape the relativity theory again, right? I cannot remember now, but we're gonna get to the diagram again and we're gonna answer that question because it's gonna make sense. For now, we're studying this subtopic of king wideness, and the author is trying to prove to us that it's usable in many different situations. So we're seeing those different situations, and then we'll have this diagram at the end showing us what it means actually in the whole picture. So the king mobility can move left and right to both sides. And it's easier to react on the opponent's attack. So how about making it wider on top and bottom as well? So we're talking left and right, but now we're trying to go up and down. their king will be even safer. In diagram 11, this is one example of a real game. In this position, Gote was... the Gote can play in this position king 3-1, but what he played instead was pawn 5-4, like this. So in this way you can see that king's wideness here plays a big role, yeah? So it widened the king's escaping ability not only sideways but also above. And in this kind of play is a way of playing that wasn't taught in the time where this solidity was justice. And this is the big, because of the mobility theory being active, being present, you can see that the value of the position, the way we think about the position changed bigly. So yeah, so in the past, perhaps you would say king 3-1 would be normal, but now if you play pawn 5-4, it's like, oh yeah, this is the mobility theory, yeah? This is, he's going for the wide shape. It's like accepted nowadays. In the game, Sent attacked from the first file, but the king escapes through the center and Gote managed to win. So yeah, the 5-4 pawn is a critical moment so that it allows the king to escape. That reminds me that I played a game against Madoka some year ago or so, or more, 2 years, 1 year. And she had some similar position to this, and I really had trouble capturing her king, and I didn't manage to in the end. So I can relate. If you guys played against right side king, you can relate to this position as well. So now you understand what's so frustrating about this. King has a lot of space to run to. That's the reason behind it. That's the reason Mifa is so strong in the handicap games as well. Yeah? He doesn't have a strong castle. He just have a lot of space to survive. And this is why he's called an escape artist. Ooh. Has it been natural to put the king on 4-2 in silver hornstone roof? Mobility theory, yeah. King was on 4-1, I think. Because if the enemy comes from this side, it's close to the attacks. I think it was on the bottom radar, but now the rook is open. I'm not I'm not a specialist of Snow Roof, but when I learned about Snow Roof, the king was on 4-1. So maybe it changed because of it, yeah. Yeah, the escape artist. So now you know the secret behind his survival ability, yeah? The king mobility. So now that everyone understood the idea of king wideness, we have to... Now the opponent will do something against this. They're gonna try to prevent your king from being wide, yeah? So, for example, the Bisha Anaguma, position 13, the pushing of the edge pawns, that was quite trending. As I said in chapter 1, the relativity theory, it was based on the relativity theory, but at the same time, it was to applying the mobility theory. So yeah, you remember? Even though it's Anaguma, we push the edge pawn. So it also forbids the king from being wider. Yeah, if the pawn would be on 9-5, it would have more squares to run to. But we've avoided that by pushing our pawn. Yeah. So this pawn push has two meanings, not only relativity theory, but also stopping this king from having escape routes. So now what she... So yeah, if it's like this, when they took the edge pawn, the opponent's king will be easier to run away in the endgame. It will be wider. It has more habitat, more survival space. If we were to play both of the positions 30 moves forward, Ibisha will have rook in hand. Ibisha or Mochi? No. So here you would, that's not about rook. It's about the Ibisha being better here in this position, 20 moves from now, as compared to here, where the foot Ibisha will be better on. So that 1 pawn difference will kind of change the way we change the advantage in the middle game. So this will be worse for static rook because the king is so wide. So yeah, we would say that because you push this edge pawn that doesn't seem to have a meaning, it would slow down your Anaguma build-up. But in modern shogi, we say that the wideness of the castle is as important. Yeah, it's more hated by the opponent if you forbid his king wideness. Interesting. When I use Anaguma, I dare to push the edge pawn only if my opponent does me. No, it's for Millennium or King Musa. I don't feel comfortable to push the edge pawn. How do you feel about this? I feel my understanding of the Anaguma edge is quite shallow. Millennium, you should definitely push the edge pawn. King Musa. But King Musa is not in this opening, or do you mean in double ranging rook? Do you know why the king on 4-1 originally? No, it's just my feeling that maybe it was further away from the attack. Like this is very close to the attack, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if this was also playable in the past because of the rook drops. Maybe it's just because it's closer to the attack. There was a 6 and 7 down who both pushed the 8 pawn against my Naguma. And stayed in high mina shape instead of making silver crown. In both games, I was 1 move slow because their king could escape to 8-3. I was so impressed. Yeah. It's the same idea, yeah? 8-3. Spot being wide for the king. So perhaps this is this shape that you're talking about, yeah? But the author says that this pawn push is preferable as the theory of modern shogi. But of course, there is an option they will attack you before you're able to build Anaguma and stuff. So it's very situational, but as a general theory is this shape is better than this shape, yeah? Ideally, you would like to have this shape over this shape. Yori Shigen Bisha. Yori Shigen Bisha will be a little bit different because it's gonna be... But I mean, again, that's the relativity theory we're talking about. Yeah, I would need the specific position to tell you. It's all situational, but yeah, this is all theoretical. So if we apply it to practice, it's gonna change, of course. Like there are timings for the moves to make. Maybe you have no time. Maybe you should be careful more in the opening, stuff like this. So I cannot tell you something that applies to all of the positions. But if you can notice the king difference, yeah, the wideness difference for now. And then, of course, applying this in practice will take more effort and more practice. All right, so we have 4 more pages left. Let's Gambaru. No, even more, but let's Gambaru. We're almost there. Mata Hiroigaku. So yeah, the way of fighting changes because again, the people started to valuing having the wider king more. So in the position 15, Gote plays the quick Yagura shape. So you can see the bottom. You have the gold Yagura, the normal Yagura, going for solidness. Okay, wait, what does it mean? Oh, if you compare this shape to normal Yagura, you can see there is no solidness at all. But in the Reiwa, so like since last year or 2 years ago, it was used more and more. As you can see, the goddess shape has no castle at all, in fact. So this is Fuji that's playing Gote. The king's shape, using the castle simplification as a part of the prompt efficiency theory. So nobody is like surprised to see this shape in modern sense. In the actual game, both sides will be attacking in the position 16, send attacks with severe climbing silver. Gote looks like they're in pinch, but from now on you can see that the king's wideness will come to be used active, to be influential, and the enemy's attack won't be able to touch the king. So Gote silver. Gote cannot stop the silver advance on the second file, and the second file broke. So here, yeah. But the king will be able to escape to the 6th file and able to survive there. What do you mean drunk Yagura? It's drunk. It's not even Yagura though. It's not a castle at all. I think it's called Helmet Yagura. Let me check. This is called Helmet Fortress. Not, you probably don't see it. Boop. Helmet Fortress. According to Wikipedia, at least, it's called Helmet Fortress. But yeah, there's no fortress because this silver guy is just evacuated to 6-6, so he's drunk. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's drunk. Yeah, the drunk silver. That this is a continuation of this shape. But okay, the point is, Moriichi sensei is one of the famous Yagura players, so naturally he's gonna create this shape. And Fuji is one of those young players who know what's going on, so he's playing this new strategy. And you can see a direct clash between old style thinking and new style thinking. And as a result, yeah, Moriichi sensei is attacking pretty well, but Fuji's pieces are like so active, right? The king will be able to escape here. It's such a light shape. Yes, he's gonna lose the control over the second file, but let's see what happens. Pawn drop, rook takes, pawn drop, rook takes. So there will be double pawn drop here. 1, 2, and then the goat will lightly avoid the attack, right? The same way we saw before. The silver will unpromote to fork the bishop and the gold. And then we're gonna move the gold up. We will drop the pawn on the second file twice to make the rook come closer to us and arrive at this position. We take the initiative. The problem is Sente cannot really give away the rook, right? The king is very vulnerable here, so they cannot simply sacrifice it. Gote will continue pressuring the rook while something. Treat, relieving the treat. Okay. So defending while attacking, yeah? One of Mifa's very first lessons to me was don't attack from the head of your king. I wonder how this reconciles with the modern shogi theory, which Mifa seems to know extremely well. Well, you don't attack from the head of the king still. Well, simply speaking, to attack, you need to sacrifice the pawn. And if you exchange the pawns, it's easier to drop the pawn on the back of the enemy rank, right? So, and the easiest way for your opponent to attack is to drop pawns. So if you attack on his side, from your king side, in this bishop exchange at least, if you attack on your king side, your opponent will have easier counter attack, but also you will be further away from his king because his king is on the left, right? And you're attacking on the right. So it doesn't make sense to attack from this side. In general sense. But modern shogi, you will have pawns all over the board. No, he's not attacking from the king side. He's being attacked from the king side. That's the difference here. He's counter-attacking from the king side because he's forced to. It's Moriuchi sensei who did the climbing silver, right? He came up to here. And those are Fuji's defensive pieces. So now that he's in pinch, he has to counter-attack. He's not the one to start attacking here. He actually pushed this pawn here, see? His engagement was on the 6th file. So even Fuji is attacking on the other side. This pawn push is proof of that. When it goes to the middle game, it becomes chaos. So of course you will have different types of counterattack. Here you have the strategy of pressuring the attacking piece. But it's still not attacking from the king side. It's merely trying to survive from that side. Utilize the pieces on that side. Yeah. So if the king starting attack is just the opening to the middle game phase, but here we have counter attack. So here that proverb stopped working. Here is about how do we defend. It's middle game. It doesn't apply here. And yes, he applied it in the opening because he pushed this pawn, yeah? In front of the enemy's king, that's the proper direction, the proper file to do it, starting with a pawn. The problem is he didn't have time to utilize it because Sente came first, yeah? But this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to regain initiative so that then he can continue his attack. But the point of this chapter is that the king is wide, and even though the bogin, the most basic shogi strategy, seems to be succeeding, it's not enough. Because the king is wide and he can just simply run away. So in the position 18, oh, it continues, okay. Gote will be safer and will be better, basically, but let's see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna put the whole variation. This is a very long variation. I'm gonna put it in the... I mean, I can probably guess the moves from this position, so we can try to input it from here. Even. Like this, right? So Gote just played the silver up. And somehow we arrive at this position. So what's happening? So this pawn is probably exchanged. This pawn is pushed. This gold somehow ends up here. This pawn. Okay, there's a pawn in here somehow. I have no idea how that appears to be. So maybe it's pawn push, pawn takes, pawn drop. You guys probably don't see what I'm showing. Yep. Beep. And then silver up, pawn push, pawn drop, pawn drop, pawn drop underneath, gold takes, silver takes. But we have 3 pawns, not 2 pawns. So something is wrong. And also this pawn is here. So I messed up somewhere. I wasn't able to go exactly as in the position. All right. So now it's white's turn to play. So again, he dropped the... Oh, because this pawn is here also. All right. All right. So pawn drop, rook takes, pawn drop, rook takes, pawn take goes here. No, unpromoted. Unpromoted, gold attacks the rook goes back. Somehow when your defensive pieces slightly abandon the king, the opponent cannot capture them as easily. It's actually harder for them to continue attacking if your king is wide enough. Exactly, that's the point. That's the point. Okay. And now we will have a new variation, which is rook goes back, bishop escapes lightly, pawn drop 8-4 to stop this pawn promotion. Rook takes, pawn drop. The king is not wide. Pawn drop in front of the rook. Rook goes to the side. Pawn drop in front of the rook. The rook goes to the side. Gold goes up. Exchanging the bishop is possible. And next, gold to 4-7 is something that Fuji will be happy to play. So they're saying that in this type of shogi, in the quick Yagura, the whole board becomes a battlefield. Both sides will be under severe attack, and actually king has no safe spot. There's no safe spot for the king. Whatever you do, it's gonna be dangerous. Even if you make a strong castle, it's gonna be narrow. It's gonna be a very painful weakness to have. So using the weaker castle with more spaces to escape to, the wider shape, will be preferable. And again, this way of thinking happened because of the mobility story influence. You got it, chat? The whole position becomes a battlefield. No matter where you hide in a castle, they're gonna get you. So it's better to be in the field, running with your king in the front line. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Running your king, right? So that the opponent doesn't know where to concentrate because the king is fleeing continuously. Rather than king being safe at his castle and just being surrounded and then just die, yeah? King is much better to fly around the country, never being able to be captured. That's the image I have. Like if I were to draw, again, like a painting or like a story, make out of it, it would be this. Yeah, the king doesn't stay in the castle because the opponent would just concentrate there and surround you and you would die. So you have to escape, you have to flee and survive. So this is another example of king being white. This is the last example before we have our diagrams. In the position 19, sent how should we English stopped working. Reloading the module English. React to the silver drop. How should we react to the silver drop? And I'm not gonna give you answer yet. Guys, you think? I read. swing with the king. Where? Probably don't. Oh gosh. Now it's better. So the silver is now attacking your gold. What do you do, New Galaxy? That's the question. Yeah, the rooks are on the back. The rooks are here. Yeah, this is the bishop exchange opening. So, as we know, if we were to take this silver that looks like a free silver, there's a bishop drop on free 8 here, forking the rook and the gold. So that free silver isn't actually free. It would be an exchange for gold and a horse. So we don't want to take it. How about silver drop 6 free? No, guys, concentrate. We're trying to apply the king mobility theory. Everything that we learned before today. Everything we tried to learn today, it's not about counterattack, it's about survival. How do you survive here? Well, silver drops to 6-3 means they take the silver first. So they can take it unpromoted, actually. And if you take the silver, you're being checkmated in 3 moves. So, okay, not 3 moves, actually, but bishop drop will happen, king goes back, and then we can like pressure the king and maybe promote then. I changed my choice. They promote, they drop the bishop, and you're dead. It's a mate in 5. It's not mate in 5, but you make please. It's not as easy, but they have the initiative. Alright, chat, that's what I'm saying. Alright, the yellow says gold 5-7. That would be correct according to our mobility theory, because we've seen this move before, yeah? Remember when there was attack on the third file? The gold escaped to this side, the king escaped to this side, so we're evacuating to the other side. Yep. But actually, chat, it looks like we would like to escape to 5-4, 5-7 gold, and it was my first idea too. But actually, what was played was king 5-7. King 5-7, gold, silver takes gold, king takes. It's crazy. little bit crazy. Little bit crazy. The king is running away from the castle. And it comes closer to the 4th file, making it like a very, very dangerous move. But the center's king will be white, and maybe won't be able to be captured, yeah? And actually, next, silver drop 6-3 or 7-5 pawn would be the fun stuff to do. When the turn comes, yeah, now it's Gote's turn, but when we will have the move, we would like to do those. Gote actually will have problem to continue attacking. And Santa is good in this position. I cannot believe Santa is good in this position. Also, I don't think silver drop is good because silver drop at the head. No, it's good enough. It's good enough, apparently. Yeah, the king is definitely the strongest piece. This is a crazy example. It breaks my mind to see you. In one sense of classical shogi, it actually makes sense. King 5-7 is the only move to remove Gote's foothold, and therefore is the only way to slow down. Yeah, but look! Look! It's so far away from its castle, it has no pawn in front of it. If Gote has one more pawn, you know, this knight had like 3-5 pawn or something is coming. It looks very, very bad. So Apparently, though, somehow Santa is better. My mind cannot comprehend it. But anyway, in this example, we can see that you can do wideness. Wideness what? Guarantee the security? Using the wideness, you can guarantee the security of the king. So therefore, there is no need to like depend on the king's solidity. And this is the modern shogi tokcho characteristic, yeah? So the king is safe because it's wide, not because it has friends around. King stand alone is okay. Breaks my heart. The shape of gold on the same rank as king, separated by 2 5s, might be critical shape for understanding white shogi. The shape of gold on the same rank, separated by 2 5s, maybe. I mean, it's protecting all the squares, right? Also depends on what Gote has in hand. They don't have a pawn. I think that's important here. But I can imagine they push this pawn and they push this pawn, and then what do you do type of thing. It's gonna be a big fight again. And it's gonna be still a big fight. It's just an example. Yeah, but they could drop the bishop here, right? No, they couldn't. There's a rook. So the fact that there is a rook, it's like also necessary. A yellow. So the rook, king, and the gold together protects everything. Just the gold and the king won't be enough. All right, that's the most mind-breaking example we saw today. So we have a diagram. We have diagram and 2 more examples. So we have this diagram says king shape. Using the prompt efficiency and durability theory, the king shape become dangerous. So let's add or supplement it with the mobility theory. Okay. Civil rights? Citizenship? Hiroso Motomeru. To give the citizenship to the king that wants more space? That sounds weird. The imprompt efficiency and durability theory. The bet point addition. Okay, I cannot understand this. But basically, we're filling up a hole in our prompt efficiency that simplified the castle and the durability theory, which has no castle at all. We're filling the hole using our king mobility. The next... So we had the special points of defending the king and simplifying the castle. And from the next principle? No. Okay, in those 2, so it's, as I said, in those 2 we concentrated on defending the king and simplifying the castle. In those... they had a good fit together. And as we saw on page 75. What's the page 75? Let's quickly check this 75 page. So those 2, yeah, okay. So it's the prompt efficiency theory and the durability theory were good together because they both use the simplified castle and defending the king, yeah? But we had to fill this hole about the king's safety, which was using the mobility theory. So next we'll have Korera. No, this specialty is to not make a... gosh, the Japanese. これからの特性や課題が声を作ることと。なので、 the king's shape will become weaker because we're taking a different approach from making a solid castle. Completely opposite approach. Suikota wai. Sono tame ni hohoto shite hirasa. Okay. So because our king is weak, we're trying to cover our weakness, and we're gonna, in order to do so, we're using the wideness. So yeah, so starting from the beginning, we wanna have a quicker attack. We want to be durable against enemy attack. So we simplify the castle, or we defended our king by breaking up our castle. But in order to survive the situation, to compensate the fact that we don't have a castle, we have to keep our king safe, and to do so we use the wideness. Mobility theory. Wow. So the target of the mobility theory is to keep all pieces active, but also the king will have to become useful to us. Yeah. So not only big pieces we have to be careful about in the mobility theory, but also the king mobility. Yeah, that's what we learned in today's subchapter. And now we have some very scary diagrams. So we have the main points of the mobility theory, and on the left side we will have degree of relative priority. I have no idea what that means. And on the bottom we have the cost effectiveness. Interesting. I have no idea what that means. Yellow says time to pull war gods on 2-2 and 8-2 and king on 5-2 in the Shogi Harbour. No, not the dark castle or something. But yeah, that's why the dark castle is also considered to be good, because of the wideness. Yeah. But by the way, guys, think of the dark castle. It's good on the left and right, but what is lacking is up and down. Yeah. So according to our theory, it's lacking the vertical movement. So this is why it's kind of weak, because it doesn't have that verticality. Okay. So if you just move the pieces, then if you just move the pieces a little bit from the dark castle, you arrive at the bishop exchange opening, yeah? And thanks to that, you have more verticality. I have no idea what it means. As the last point, the mobility theory. Let's summarize the mobility theory. The main point is to make pieces more efficient. In more detail, it means to make pieces to move to more squares, especially big pieces like rook and bishop are the pieces we think about foremost. In order to use them, you need to use this theory. Why not the Oh. So if I am So for example, the first move you make, what is the first move you make? 7-6 pawn or 2-6 pawn, right? That's the answer, yeah? You just concentrate on using the big pieces. If you have a lot of pieces that needs to be fixed, that are not active, start with big pieces. So I guess what this means is that, if I understand correctly, this is the degree of relative priority. So, and then this is cost versus effectiveness, I think. So I think what they're trying to say with this stupid diagram that doesn't make sense is that you should basically, this is the priority. So big pieces should be the priority because cost versus effectiveness. It doesn't make sense to me, basically, this diagram, but I think my feeling is that it's easier to activate big pieces and it's worth it. And therefore you should prioritize it. I think this is what they're trying to say. Like if you imagine the silver has to walk all the way to the up, that takes a lot of time and it's not worth it, right? So I think that's what they're trying to say. Yeah, I also don't understand it. This is like priority and this is like cost versus efficiency, which doesn't make sense to put this on the diagram because it's two things on one axis, right? Axis. It's cost versus efficiency. So there is a bigger cost versus efficiency. I don't know what it means. Yeah, it's like it's different. Yeah, I read this and this is what they're trying to say. They're saying on the last last sentence, they say if you have many pieces that are inactive, start with bigger pieces. So that's what they're saying here. So I assume that's what this means, like prioritizing big pieces because it's better. Like that's what they're trying to say. But mathematically, my logical brain, there are two variables on this one, so it doesn't make sense to me. Quadratic, yeah, I also don't understand quadratics, so. But yeah, if we were to imagine the silver walk up to the whole board, there's gonna be a lot of cost, move cost, yeah? But if we remember this one example, when we sacrifice one pawn to move our rook, that's totally worth it. So it's easier to activate big pieces and it's gonna be much helpful to us. And this is why, as an example, when we play the first move, we either activate bishop or rook. So the same way we wanna think in normal shogi, you wanna continue thinking how to activate those pieces. And also we talked about king mobility. So not give him more space, not give him more movement or like more attacking, but actually making it wider. So unlike the rook where it has a lot of efficiency, the king cannot do it. You just want to make sure it has a lot of living space. Not the solidness, but the wideness is the main point. So for example, this is the shogi from 2014, 2016. You're thinking about king solidness, right? Now here you have the wideness instead of the solidness. 2017 and until now. So yeah, we have a simplified castle and white king. This is better. And it's all because of the efficiency theory. So because of the efficiency theory, this became obsolete and this became modern shogi, yeah? And modern shogi, you simplify the castle and you concentrate on the wideness, similar to diagram 2. You're trying to analyze. Imagine you're a marketplace where rice is being sold and this marketplace does not sell rice. Normally it says rice like this. If you pay X dollars, the merchant will give you X meter of X meter square and fill the entire square with rice. How much rice do you want to buy? Oh. Yeah, but we have X and Y, which is kind of confusing, right? The more rice... the more rice you buy, the better return you get. So you're saying the more we pay, the better return we have. It also doesn't make sense because the payment is on the same axis. But okay, I guess the more we invest in that piece, the more efficient it will become, or something like this. Yeah. Yeah, something like this yellow. Yeah. Invest in pawns. So the point is, yeah, invest in rooks and be bishop. That's the point of that diagram, I guess. Okay, now we have... There's a lot of different Japanese, but I think what I said summarizes it. And now we have... So it's difficult to use the king wideness in the opposition shogi. So not like static rook versus static rook. This is the opposition. So if there's a case of the whole board becoming fighting place, then the wideness is better, but probably it's not applicable in this shogi we see on the screen. Hamari nikui, it says. Hamari. Ate what? Ate. Yeah, it doesn't fit, it says. So it doesn't fit to this type of shogi. That's because there's only one-sided, yeah? And against one-sided, better castle is better, maybe. Cryptocurrency, oh no. I have trouble understanding this, but basically it says that in diagram 3, we had solid shogi, but even if we say so, in the opposition, even then the king wideness is important. So in diagram 4, you can see they push the edge pawn, right? So it's also applicable, but in a different way, I guess. So the king wideness or king narrowness also applies there, but in different way. Okay, so if you guys are like static rook players, it's very applicable because the fight is everywhere and the king has nowhere to be safe, right? And in Anaguma, it seems like it doesn't apply, but it does apply in the way of king being narrow or the enemy having wider space. So we had this example of limiting Gote from having wider escape in the endgame by pushing the edge pawn, something like this. I'm being semi-serious about pawns cryptocurrency. If you use pawns right, its value goes to the moon. Yeah, that's... Yeah, if they don't have pawns, they're losing, right? We had this one example when the king took the gold, took this promoted silver, and Gote could not expose that king because he didn't have pawns. So that's correct there. Okay, so finally we have the last page of the chapter, guys. Finally. So, relativity theory, prompt efficiency theory, and durability theory. Remember this? We had this triangle. So in order to escape this triangle, we are using the mobility theory. Escaping from the triangle. Yeah. Get it? Does it make sense? Hopefully. How does it make sense? Well, you cannot keep this triangle alive if we have that, basically. The middle, the same thing all over again, making so the mobility theory is to having more efficiency by raising the power of our own pieces. Thanks to that, you will have better attacking and defensive power, and you can support the other principles or the other theories. Koreo oka teki ni. Yeah, so you can say that this is a way to escape efficiently this triangle of relativity, efficiency, prompt efficiency, and durability. Triangle and canals, no, mobile, we don't know. 生命を受けなどに、アクションに I mean, it's literally repeating what we were saying before, so. It's a theory that applies to all the pieces' movement, attack and defense. It affects all the actions we do. And it also affects upper and middle board. No, sono ue chuba ni oite mo. It also applies the middle game. And something is high. It has multiple versatility. So here's multiple uses. So we talked that we use it in the opening. We talked that it's used in different parts of the game. I think that's what they're saying. And the next chapter, we will have another way to make our forces more efficient. And this will be called dun, 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 the okay, I thought it's safety, but it's actually integrity or maintainability. Let's call it. Let's use it integrity because it's a shorter word. The integrity theory. But yeah, it mostly applies to the bishop exchange, but it's interesting. I suggest to play more games and analyze them to find your strength and weakness. Looking forward to learning about integrity theory this week. How do you know what player are you? Well, by playing a lot, I guess, and then learning, finding out. Okay, so it will be something about safety, but about maintaining. So we talked about mobility, right? And we saw this example when the Fuji is playing against Moriuchi and he seals off the rook of Moriuchi. So what this chapter will be is about how to maintain that mobility. So how to not let your piece be attacked. Because the mobile pieces will be the target of your enemy. So, for example, this gold is protecting this rook or something like this. That's what we're gonna be concentrating on in this chapter. So it seems, but yes, that's going to be next week. All right, so chat, do we have any questions? Do we have any question like, what is mobility theory? Or my favorite question. I looked at 81 stats. I'm central rook or double swinging rook player. I need a lesson. So this lesson that we did is mostly applicable to the double swinging rook, New Galaxy. Because, so the king wideness, for example, it's going to be applicable there. So you can try. What is mobility? Yellow. Yeah. Yeah. Please don't. Double swinging rook sounds cool. It is. It is cool. I mean, it's, if you think about it, it's like this rook but and this rook but on the other side. So the same ideas apply because it just flipped. If you go to the paint and flip it, it's the same thing. So the same rule apply. Simply speaking. Yep. So this is like theory, but then you guys should like try to play games and watch some pro games. Try to find the characteristics of these openings, of these theories in them. Like we had Watanabe versus Fuji recently, right? Where is it? Maybe we can take a look at it a little bit. Where is it? So, for example, we had this game, right? Fuji versus Watanabe. The bald guy. Wait, bald guy? Nobody's bald here. I mean, he used to cut his hair, but you mean Watanabe. This guy is Watanabe sensei. 75%. Wow, okay. 25 games not enough. You should play more. You should play more. So let's see how does it apply here. Yeah, we have the Aigakari double. So it doesn't clear. Okay, so that's not bishop exchange, but oh, now it's bishop exchange. All right, now it's like totally bishop exchange. So here they waste a move on moving the rook again. They already moved the rook, but they're concentrating on the mobility. And this move, for example, is very surprising again, right? Normally you would say it weakens your king, but this is the move that surprised me the most, I guess. It's like different way of thinking, not about solidity, but preventing your enemy's attack. So it's like provoking your enemy a little bit here. Because he could attack the silver, he could take this pawn, but then the knight would die. And as an effect, we have a space for our king. This is such a crazy game. But yeah, you can notice, yeah, both of the kings are in like a weird spot. There's no castle at all. You're going for that wideness because the whole board is a battlefield. You can see the attack on the third file, on the seventh file, on the first file. Everything is a battlefield, yeah? So that's the result of what we were discussing in the book. King going to weird spot like the middle of the board, normally unthinkable. Yeah, this is also very similar to what we talked about, yeah? Lightly running away, activating our piece, right? And then it was just sume, but you can see, right, guys, the influence of what we're reading. So if you're like older shogi player like me and you're like, what's going on? Well, the book explains it pretty well. This way of thinking has changed. And that's the result, yeah. Well, that's online, New Galaxy. The ball is, oh god, no. Alright, guys, I didn't see any questions, and I see more and more people leaving, so I guess we're done. We'll see you tomorrow, I think, on the mobile app stream at in like 5 hours plus 1 day type of deal. Thank you so much, Yellow. And I know that I have game of yours and Nimue to analyze. I promised on Shogi Sunday. I still have it. Just that I had to wake up very early in the morning from Monday to Wednesday, and I was dead yesterday, so I'll try to do it today. The game is Deja Vu, I see. Well, good luck, New Galaxy, with finding your style, and remember to join our Tornado series. If you guys don't know what it is, you can see on our Discord in the announcements. There's a link. Shogi.pl TT series is gonna start in the beginning of February. It's the best way to improve at Shogi. Cool. Alright, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.